I'm in the emergency room at Jackson Memorial Hospital because my boyfriend pushed me down the stairs. That's not the story I tell the doctors. I tell them that I fell, that I was clumsy, that it was an accident. They don't believe me, but they don't press me either. They've seen this before. They know that women in abusive relationships lie to protect their abusers. My name is Sophie Mitchell, and I'm 26 years old, and I've been dating James for 5 years. The first year was perfect. The second year was fine. By the third year, the abuse had started. It started small, critical comments about the way I looked. That dress makes you look fat. Controlling behavior about where I went and who I saw. You can't have lunch with your friend Sarah. She's a bad influence. Isolation became my normal. I stopped calling my parents. I stopped seeing my friends. My world became James. And then one day, he pushed me. I fell down the basement stairs and broke my collarbone. I told the hospital I slipped. That was a year ago. Now I'm back in the hospital because he pushed me down the stairs again. These aren't basement stairs. They're the front stairs of our apartment building. And I have 3 broken ribs, a fractured wrist, and a concussion. The X-ray technician, a woman named Christine, looked at me with such sadness when she saw my injuries. She handed me a card for a domestic violence shelter. I threw it away in the hospital bathroom. The doctors want me to press charges. The hospital's social worker wants me to stay for observation. They want me to call a domestic violence hotline. Your injuries are consistent with trauma, the social worker tells me. Her name is Linda, and she has kind eyes. Not with falling. I know, I say quietly, but I fell. She knows I'm lying. I know I'm lying. We both know, and neither of us says anything about it. Instead, I sit in the waiting room, and I cry, and I try to figure out how I'm going to tell James that this is his fault, while also pretending that this is my fault. The waiting room at Jackson Memorial is designed to be calming. There are pastel colors. There are inspirational posters about healing. There's soft music playing through speakers that I can barely hear. None of it is working. I'm terrified. I'm terrified that James will be angry about my hospitalization. I'm terrified that he'll blame me for embarrassing him. I'm terrified that when I go home, he'll punish me for coming here, for letting the hospital see my injuries, for possibly giving someone the impression that he hurt me. Because he'll tell me it was my fault. He'll tell me I fell. He'll tell me I'm clumsy and stupid. He'll tell me that if I hadn't been arguing with him, I wouldn't have fallen. And I'll believe him. I've learned to believe him. The pain in my ribs is sharp. Every breath feels like broken glass in my chest. The doctor said one of the ribs is close to puncturing my lung, which is a complication I'm trying very hard not to think about. I'm sitting in a plastic chair in the waiting room, and I'm trying very hard not to cry, and I'm failing at both of these things. I'm sitting in the waiting room, staring at nothing, when a man sits down next to me. There's plenty of empty space in the waiting room. There are at least 10 empty chairs. He could sit literally anywhere. But he sits directly next to me, leaving about a foot of space between us. He's in his mid-40s, with dark hair that's graying at the temples and a face that suggests he's spent most of his life looking serious. His expression is calm. His posture is relaxed. But there's something underneath the calm, a current of power, barely contained. He's wearing an expensive suit. A suit that probably costs more than my monthly rent. A suit that says he's used to being in control of any room he enters. He doesn't say anything to me. He just sits there, looking at his phone, existing quietly next to me. I'm aware of him. I'm hyper-aware of him. There's something about his presence that makes me sit up straighter. Something about the way he carries himself that makes me feel less alone in this terrible moment. After about 10 minutes, he says, "You shouldn't go home with him." I look at him shocked, angry even. How dare this stranger presume to know anything about my life? "I don't know what you mean," I say. "Yes, you do," he replies. His voice is quiet, measured, like he said this before to other women in other waiting rooms. "You have a fractured wrist and broken ribs. That's not from falling. That's from being pushed." "You don't know that," I say. "I know that look in your eyes," he says. "I've seen it before." It's the look of someone who's just realized that they're going to die if they don't leave. There's something about the way he says it that makes me believe him. Not that he's a mind reader, but that he understands something fundamental about what I'm experiencing. He's seen this before. He knows how this ends if I stay. My hands are shaking. I tuck them under my thighs so he can't see. I can't leave, I tell him. Why not? Because I have nowhere to go. The words tumble out before I can stop them. Because he controls all the money. Because I'm scared. Because he's probably going to come get me from this hospital and take me home, and I don't know what he's going to do. The man doesn't react with shock. He doesn't react with pity. He just listens, and his listening feels like the most valuable thing anyone has given me in years. Those are all things that can be fixed, he says, but only if you decide to fix them. Who are you? I ask. Someone who's trying to help, he says. He reaches into his suit jacket and pulls out a pen. He writes down a phone number on a piece of paper, the corner of a newspaper, actually, and slides it across to me. When you're ready to leave, call this number, he says. Anytime, day or night, I'll help you. His eyes meet mine, and I see something in them that terrifies me. Not malevolence, exactly, but power, confidence. The kind of certainty that comes from someone who's used to making things happen. What if I don't want to leave? I ask. Then you die, he says simply. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but if you stay with him, you die. Physically or psychologically, but you die. Then he stands up and walks away, and I'm left sitting in the waiting room, holding a piece of paper with a phone number from a stranger who somehow just changed my entire life. I look at the phone number. No name, no business, just 10 digits. I stare at it for so long that the numbers start to blur. James arrives at the hospital an hour later. He brings flowers. Yellow roses, which he knows are my favorite, though I have no idea when he learned that about me. He hasn't paid attention to anything about me in years. He walks into the waiting room, and his face crumples with concern. "Oh my God, Sophie," he says, rushing toward me. He pulls me into a hug, and I wince with pain as he squeezes my ribs. He doesn't notice, or he notices and enjoys it. "What happened?" he asks, pulling back to look at me. His eyes scan my face, my body, assessing the damage. "I fell," I say, "down the stairs." "You fell," he repeats, his voice taking on an edge that wasn't there before, an edge of something darker. "How did you fall?" I was at the top of the stairs, and I wasn't paying attention, and I just fell. It's the same lie I told the doctors. It's the lie we both know is a lie. "You have to be more careful," he says. He takes my hand, and his grip is firm. Possessive. "You can't just go falling downstairs. You have to think about me, think about how this affects me." My fractured wrist screams in pain as he squeezes it, but I don't pull away. "I'm sorry," I say. "You should be," he replies, but then his face softens. He brings my hand to his lips and kisses it gently. "I'm going to take care of you while you recover. You're not going to have to worry about anything. I'll handle everything." What he means is that he's going to control my recovery. He's going to keep me isolated in our apartment. He's going to use my injuries as an excuse to keep me prisoner, to monitor every moment, to make sure I can't reach out for help. I should be grateful. He wants me to be grateful. "Thank you," I say. A nurse appears with discharge papers. She looks at James, then at me, then back at James. She's reading the room. She knows. "Ms. Mitchell, we have resources," she starts to say. "She's fine," James interrupts. "I'm going to take very good care of her." The nurse's jaw tightens, but she doesn't push. She hands me the papers and walks away. I look at James, and I remember what the stranger said about the look in my eyes being a look of someone who's going to die. I think he's right. "Let's get you home," James says, taking the flowers and the discharge papers. He helps me stand, and the movement sends pain shooting through my ribs. I think about the phone number in my pocket. At home, James is tender. He helps me to the couch. He puts pillows behind my back. He gets me water and pain medication. He's performing the role of caring boyfriend perfectly. "You scared me," he says, sitting next to me. "When the hospital called, I don't know what I thought." "I'm sorry," I say again. I say this word so often that it's lost all meaning. "You should be more careful," he says. He reaches out and tucks a strand of hair behind my ear. His touch is gentle. "You're so clumsy sometimes. It's kind of endearing, actually. But it's also dangerous." I nod. I accept the criticism masquerading as affection. I don't know what I'd do if I lost you, he says. You're everything to me. This is the thing about James. This is what makes it so hard to leave. In moments like this, he seems genuine. He seems like he really does love me. He seems like someone who's just concerned about my safety. But then I remember the stairs. I remember the feeling of falling. I remember the moment before impact when I knew he'd pushed me. I'm going to run a bath for you, he says, standing up. It'll help with the pain. He disappears into the bathroom, and I hear water running. I reach into my pocket and pull out the phone number. The paper is still there, still real, still an option. My phone is on the coffee table. James doesn't let me have a phone, usually. He says it's because I don't need one, that he's my only real friend. But I have a phone. A secret phone that I keep hidden. I use it to text my mother things I know he'll intercept if I send them from my regular phone. I could call the number, right now. While James is running the bath, I could call and say, I'm ready to leave. But where would I go? How would I get there? James controls the money, he controls the car, he controls everything. And if I try to leave and he finds out, what will he do? The phone number feels like it's burning in my pocket. Sophie! James calls from the bathroom. The bath is ready. I put the phone number back in my pocket and stand up slowly, pain radiating through my ribs. That night, as James sleeps beside me, I lie awake in the dark and think about dying. Not in a dramatic way. Just the slow, quiet death of being erased by someone who claims to love you. I think about the stranger's words. If you stay with him, you die. And I think about the phone number in my pocket. 3 days after I come home from the hospital, I call the number. It's 2 a.m. James is asleep. I'm in the bathroom with the door locked, sitting on the tile floor, whispering into my secret phone. A man answers on the first ring like he's been waiting for my call. I'm ready to leave, I tell him. Okay, he says. His voice is calm, certain. Give me your address. I'm going to send someone to help you. I give him the address. I tell him that James sleeps until 7 a.m. usually, so I have about 4 hours. That's enough time, the man says. My associate will be there in 30 minutes. Pack a bag with essentials, documents if you can get them. Money if there's any accessible, but prioritize getting out. Everything else can be replaced. What if he wakes up? I ask. He won't, the man says. Not until we're gone. I don't ask how he knows that. I don't ask what he means by that. I don't want to know. Okay, I say. What's your name? He asks. Sophie, I say. Sophie, he repeats. My name is Nathaniel. I'm going to take care of you. You're going to be safe. There's something in the way he says it that's both comforting and terrifying. Like he's making a promise. Like he's claiming something. But I'm too desperate to care. Thank you, I say. Don't thank me yet, he says. Just be ready. He hangs up. I sit on the bathroom tile for 5 minutes, staring at my phone. I can still leave. I can still go back to bed. I can still pretend this conversation never happened. But then I remember the falling. I remember the pain. I remember James's hand on my fractured wrist, squeezing just hard enough to hurt. I pack a backpack with clothes, with my documents, which I've hidden in the back of the bathroom cabinet, with the $300 in cash I've been saving by not buying lunch at work. I don't let myself think about what I'm doing. I just move. The woman arrives exactly 30 minutes later. I hear a soft knock on the front door, not loud enough to wake James, but loud enough for me to hear it from where I'm waiting in the living room. She's a woman in her 50s with dark hair and dark eyes. She's wearing all black. She has the kind of competence that comes from someone who's extracted people from bad situations before. Sophie, she asks. Yes, I say. I'm Maria, she says. We have maybe 90 minutes before he wakes up. Let's move. She doesn't ask questions. She doesn't comment on my injuries or my situation. She just starts moving through the apartment, looking at things with a critical eye. Does he have access to your bank accounts? She asks. Yes, I say. Everything is connected to him. She nods like she's heard this before. We'll deal with that. Do you have documents? Birth certificate, social security card? I hand her the backpack I've already packed. Good, she says. Do you have keys to anything, other than the apartment? Not really, I say. He controls the car keys. Okay, we're leaving in the clothes you're wearing. Can you walk? I nod, even though every movement sends pain through my ribs. Maria pulls out her phone and texts someone. Within 2 minutes, I hear a car pull up outside. That's our car, Maria says. We're going to walk out together. We're going to move like we own the place. No rushing, no looking back. Just two women going for a walk in the middle of the night. Understand? I nod. We leave the apartment. James is still asleep. I don't say goodbye. I don't leave a note. I just leave. Maria and I walk down the stairs, the same stairs he pushed me down 3 days ago, and I don't let myself think about what's about to happen. The car is a nondescript sedan. The driver is a young man with kind eyes. He doesn't speak. He just nods at Maria and pulls into traffic. As we drive away from the apartment, I watch it disappear in the rear-view mirror, and I feel relief wash over me like a wave. Relief and terror in equal measure. You did good, Maria says from the passenger seat. Most people hesitate, you didn't. What if he comes after me? I ask. He won't, Maria says. She says it with such certainty that I almost believe her. He won't be in a position to come after anyone. I don't ask what she means by that. I have my suspicions, and they terrify me. We drive in silence for about 20 minutes. Then Maria turns around in her seat to look at me. What do you know about Nathaniel? She asks. Nothing, I say. I don't even know his last name. Maria nods slowly. He's not someone you should trust, she says. He helps people, yes, but he helps them for reasons. He doesn't do charity. There's always a reason. What reason? I ask. I don't know, Maria says. But I've worked for him for 5 years, and I've learned that Nathaniel does what Nathaniel wants. And right now, he wants to help you. That means he wants something from you. Figure out what it is before you get too deep. Are you telling me to run? I ask. I'm telling you to be careful, Maria says. The man you're escaping from was bad, but he was bad in a normal way. Nathaniel is bad in a way that's harder to see. The car pulls into a parking lot outside a hotel. This is where you're staying tonight, Maria says. She hands me an envelope with cash and a key card. The room is paid for a week. After that, call Nathaniel. He'll help you figure out what's next. Wait, I say. What's going to happen to James? Maria looks at me for a long moment. Let's just say he's not going to be a problem anymore, she says. I don't ask what she means. I don't want to know. I already suspect, and knowing for certain would make me complicit in a way I can't take back. I get out of the car with my backpack, and Maria and the driver disappear into the night. I'm alone in a hotel parking lot with a week's worth of paid accommodations and absolutely no idea what comes next. The woman arrives exactly 30 minutes later. I hear a soft knock on the front door, not loud enough to wake James, but loud enough for me to hear it from where I'm waiting in the living room. She's a woman in her 50s, with dark hair and dark eyes. She's wearing all black. She has the kind of competence that comes from someone who's extracted people from bad situations before. Sophie? She asks. Yes, I say. I'm Maria, she says. We have maybe 90 minutes before he wakes up. Let's move. She doesn't ask questions. She doesn't comment on my injuries or my situation. She just starts moving through the apartment, looking at things with a critical eye. Does he have access to your bank accounts? She asks. Yes, I say. Everything is connected to him. She nods like she's heard this before. We'll deal with that. Do you have documents? Birth certificate? Social security card? I hand her the backpack I've already packed. Good, she says. Do you have keys to anything, other than the apartment? Not really, I say. He controls the car keys. Okay, we're leaving in the clothes you're wearing. Can you walk? I nod, even though every movement sends pain through my ribs. Maria pulls out her phone and texts someone. Within 2 minutes, I hear a car pull up outside. That's our car, Maria says. We're going to walk out together. We're going to move like we own the place. No rushing, no looking back. Just two women going for a walk in the middle of the night. Understand? I nod. We leave the apartment. James is still asleep. I don't say goodbye. I don't leave a note. I just leave. Maria and I walk down the stairs, the same stairs he pushed me down 3 days ago, and I don't let myself think about what's about to happen. The car is a nondescript sedan. The driver is a young man with kind eyes. He doesn't speak. He just nods at Maria and pulls into traffic. As we drive away from the apartment, I watch it disappear in the rear-view mirror, and I feel relief wash over me like a wave. relief and terror in equal measure. You did good, Maria says from the passenger seat. Most people hesitate, you didn't. What if he comes after me? I ask. He won't, Maria says. She says it with such certainty that I almost believe her. He won't be in a position to come after anyone. I don't ask what she means by that. I have my suspicions, and they terrify me. We drive in silence for about 20 minutes. Then Maria turns around in her seat to look at me. What do you know about Nathaniel? She asks. Nothing, I say. I don't even know his last name. Maria nods slowly. He's not someone you should trust, she says. He helps people, yes, but he helps them for reasons. He doesn't do charity. There's always a reason. What reason? I ask. I don't know, Maria says. But I've worked for him for 5 years, and I've learned that Nathaniel does what Nathaniel wants. And right now, he wants to help you. That means he wants something from you. Figure out what it is before you get too deep. Are you telling me to run? I ask. I'm telling you to be careful, Maria says. The man you're escaping from was bad, but he was bad in a normal way. Nathaniel is bad in a way that's harder to see. The car pulls into a parking lot outside a hotel. This is where you're staying tonight, Maria says. She hands me an envelope with cash and a key card. The room is paid for a week. After that, call Nathaniel. He'll help you figure out what's next. Wait, I say. What's going to happen to James? Maria looks at me for a long moment. Let's just say he's not going to be a problem anymore, she says. I don't ask what she means. I don't want to know. I already suspect, and knowing for certain would make me complicit in a way I can't take back. I get out of the car with my backpack, and Maria and the driver disappear into the night. I'm alone in a hotel parking lot with a week's worth of paid accommodations and absolutely no idea what comes next. I spend the next 2 weeks grieving James. This is complicated because I'm also celebrating his death. I grieve for the person he could have been. I grieve for the relationship that could have been healthy. I grieve for the 5 years that I wasted trying to make him love me. I grieve for the girl I was before he destroyed her. But I also celebrate the fact that I'm alive. I celebrate the fact that I'm safe. I celebrate the fact that I never have to feel his hands on me again. I celebrate the fact that I'm free. My therapist, Dr. Wang, has prescribed me anti-anxiety medication and referred me to a trauma specialist. We have sessions twice a week, and I spend most of them trying to explain why I feel relieved. It's normal, Dr. Wang tells me. You survived an abusive relationship. Relief is a normal response to escaping that abuse. But he's dead, I say. I feel like I should be sadder. Sadness isn't the only appropriate response to death, Dr. Wang says. Especially when the person who died was harming you. But I wonder if the reason I'm not sadder is because Nathaniel killed him. I wonder if the sadness I'm not feeling is because I know that James didn't just happen to have a medical emergency. I wonder if I'm complicit in his death, and that's why I can't mourn him. Dr. Wang asks me about Nathaniel during one of our sessions. You mentioned that a man helped you escape, she says. Tell me about him. His name is Nathaniel, I say. He intervened when James was hurting me. He helped me escape. How did he help you escape? Dr. Wang asks. He sent a woman to help me pack and leave, I say. I called him, and he responded immediately. That's good, Dr. Wang says. That's the kind of help you needed. But I think he might have killed James, I say. Dr. Wang is quiet for a moment. What makes you think that? She asks. Because James died 3 days after I left him. And because Nathaniel said something that implied he was responsible. And because, I don't know, I just know. That makes you complicit, Doctor. Wang says, and her voice is gentle but firm. If you believe Nathaniel killed someone, and you're not reporting it to the police, you're complicit in that crime. Yes, I say, I know. But you're not going to report it, Dr. Wang says. It's not a question. No, I say, I'm not. Why not? Dr. Wang asks. Because he saved my life, I say. Because I would be dead if he hadn't helped me. Because he did what needed to be done. Dr. Wang doesn't push. She just writes something in her notes and moves on. But I can feel the judgment. I can feel her disapproval. And I hate myself for making the choice I'm making. The choice not to turn in the man who probably killed my ex-boyfriend. But I can't. I can't turn him in because that would mean losing the one person who cared enough about me to save me. even if that saving came with a price. A week after James's funeral, Nathaniel calls me. I'm in my hotel room, watching TV, trying to figure out what my life is supposed to look like now. I have a week of paid accommodation left, and then what? I don't have a job, I don't have money, I don't have a support system. I'd like to take you to dinner, Nathaniel says. As a friend, nothing more, just dinner. Are you the man from the hospital? I ask, even though I already know the answer. Yes, he says. Did you kill James? There's a pause on the line. I knew a man who was hurting you, he says carefully. And I ensured that he could no longer hurt you. The method doesn't matter. The result is what matters. That's not an answer, I say. No, he agrees. But it's the only answer you're going to get. Why should I have dinner with someone who probably killed my ex-boyfriend? I ask. Because I'm the only person in your life who's proved they would do anything to protect you, he says. Because I'm the only person who's showed up when you needed help. Because I think you might be falling for me the same way I'm falling for you. There's an arrogance to this statement that should repel me, should make me hang up the phone, should make me delete his number and pretend he never existed. Instead, it makes me feel something. Something that's not quite desire, but not quite gratitude either. It's the feeling of being wanted, really wanted, by someone powerful enough to kill for me. Okay, I say, let's have dinner. The hotel concierge calls the restaurant and makes a reservation for me. She also offers to book me a car service. As I'm getting ready, I look at myself in the mirror. I'm wearing a dress that James never would have let me wear. It's too short, too low-cut, too attention-seeking. I'm wearing makeup. I'm wearing jewelry. I'm reclaiming myself in small ways. But there's something in my eyes that troubles me. There's a darkness there, a resignation. I'm about to have dinner with a man who probably killed my ex-boyfriend, and I'm fine with it. More than fine. I'm excited about it. That should worry me. That should be a red flag the size of a building. But all I feel is the anticipation of being held by someone powerful. The car arrives. The driver is the same young man who drove me away from James's apartment. Nathaniel asked me to make sure you got there safely, he says. Of course he did. Of course he's having me tracked. Of course he knows exactly where I am at all times. But when I point this out to myself, I'm not sure it's a bad thing. After years of James's control, it's almost comforting to be cared for by someone stronger. Is that sick? Is that insane? Probably. But I'm in the car, and we're driving to the restaurant, and all I can think about is the way Nathaniel looked at me in the waiting room. All I can think about is the confidence in his voice when he said he'd help me. All I can think about is how good it felt to be rescued, even if the rescue came with a cost. Nathaniel takes me to a restaurant that costs more than I used to make in a month. It's called Tempest. It's located on the 34th floor of a downtown Miami building, and it has a view of Biscayne Bay that's so beautiful it's almost obscene. The waiters know him by his first name. The chef comes out to greet him personally. He orders a wine that the sommelier describes with reverence. It costs $200 a bottle. He orders for both of us, seared scallops, then Wagyu beef that's been aged for 45 days. Dishes I can't pronounce and couldn't afford if I worked for a year. I'm wearing the dress I bought at a thrift store. It's nice, but it's obviously thrift store nice. I'm wearing shoes I've had for 3 years. My jewelry is costume jewelry. Next to Nathaniel, in his tailored suit, his Rolex, his diamond cufflinks, I look like I'm playing dress-up. You look beautiful, he tells me, and he says it in a way that makes me believe he means it, or at least makes me believe he's very good at pretending to mean it. Thank you for dinner, I say. I don't think I've ever been to a restaurant like this. You deserve to be in restaurants like this, he says. You deserve a lot of things that life hasn't given you. Like what? I ask. Like stability, he says. Like safety. Like someone who puts you first. Like being treated like you matter. The way he says it is gentle. It's seductive. It's also, I realize, setting up a premise where he's the only person in the world who can give me these things. I want to be honest with you, he says, setting down his wine glass, about who I am and what I do. Here it is, the confession. I've been waiting for it and dreading it since he called. I'm a cartel boss, he says calmly, like he's telling me he works in finance. I run distribution for one of the largest criminal organizations in the Southeast. I've been responsible for at least 25 deaths. I make approximately $175 million a year. He pauses to let this sink in. I'm telling you this because you deserve to know what kind of man you're dealing with, he continues. And because I think you might be falling for me the same way I'm falling for you. And I can't let that happen without you knowing the truth. I sit with this. I sit with the fact that I'm having dinner with a cartel boss. I sit with the fact that this man, who just confessed to being responsible for 25 deaths, is looking at me like I'm the most important person in the world. Did you have something to do with James's death? I ask directly. There's no point in dancing around it. Yes, he says. I did. He was hurting you. I made sure he stopped. That's all you need to know. But why? I ask. Why would you do that for someone you just met? Because the moment I saw you in that waiting room, I knew I was capable of loving you, he says. And I couldn't stand the thought of you being hurt by someone else. The waiter arrives with our food. We eat in silence for a moment. I don't know if I can be with you, I say finally. I don't know if I can be with someone who kills people. I understand, Nathaniel says, but I'm hoping that you'll give me a chance. I'm hoping that you'll see past what I do and see who I am underneath. Who are you underneath? I ask. Someone who loves you, he says simply. 2 days after my dinner with Nathaniel, my phone rings. The number is unfamiliar. I answer cautiously. Is this Sophie Mitchell? A woman's voice asks. Yes, I say. This is Detective Patricia Chen with the Miami Police Department. I'm investigating the death of James Mitchell. Do you have time to talk? My heart rate spikes. Of course, I say. I'd like to meet with you in person, Detective Chen says. At the precinct, if you're comfortable with that, or I can meet you somewhere else. The precinct is fine, I say. She gives me an address and a time. I hang up, and my hands are shaking. Detective Patricia Chen is younger than I expected, maybe mid-30s. She has kind eyes and a face that suggests she's seen things most people haven't seen. She offers me water. She sits across from me at a small table in an interview room. I want to start by saying that I'm not suspecting you of any wrongdoing, she says. But your ex-boyfriend's death raised some questions, and I'd like to ask you some things. Okay, I say. How long were you in a relationship with James Mitchell? She asks. 5 years, I say. And was the relationship abusive? She asks. I nod. Physically or verbally? She asks. Both, I say. Physically, too. He pushed me down the stairs about a week before he died. Detective Chen writes this down. I see, she says. And you left him 3 days before his death. Yes, I say. How did you know that? We've been interviewing people in his life, she says. Some of them mentioned that you had left him. Some of them mentioned that you'd been in the hospital the week before. She leans back in her chair. Here's what I want to tell you, Sophie, she says. James Mitchell's death was not a natural death. The autopsy revealed that he was poisoned. The poison was administered during what appeared to be a routine medical procedure, but someone gave the staff the wrong medication. I feel my blood drain from my face. We believe his death was deliberate, Detective Chen says, and we believe that someone wanted him dead badly enough to risk being caught at a hospital. I don't know anything about that, I say. I believe you, Detective Chen says, but I think you know someone who does. I think you know someone who was capable and willing to do this. And I think that person did it because they wanted you to be safe. I don't say anything. Sophie, I need to ask you directly. Do you know who killed James Mitchell? No, I lie. Do you suspect anyone? She asks. No, I lie again. Detective Chen watches me for a long moment. Let me tell you what I think happened, she says. I think you met someone. I think this person helped you escape from your abusive ex-boyfriend. I think this person cared about you. And I think this person decided that the best way to protect you was to eliminate the threat. I don't know what you're talking about, I say. Maybe not, Detective Chen says. She slides a folder across the table. But I want you to look at something. Inside the folder is a photograph. It's of Nathaniel. It's a mug shot from about 15 years ago. His name is Nathaniel Valdez, Detective Chen says. He's one of the most powerful people in organized crime in the Southeast. He's responsible for at least 25 deaths. We've been trying to build a case against him for years, but he's very good at what he does. I stare at the photograph. We think he had your ex-boyfriend killed, Detective Chen continues. Not necessarily because he was protecting you, but because James Mitchell had business dealings with one of Nathaniel's rivals. James was a minor player in a larger game. Nathaniel removing him was eliminating a small piece of the board. You don't know that, I say. You're right, I don't, Detective Chen agrees. But I suspect it. And I want you to be very careful, Sophie. Because if Nathaniel Valdez is involved in your life, you're not safe. You're just in a different kind of danger. I meet Isabella at a coffee shop near my hotel. She called me the day after my conversation with Detective Chen. She got my number from Nathaniel, and she asked to meet me because she said she needed to warn me about something. Isabella is in her mid-30s. She's beautiful in an exhausted way. She's wearing designer clothes, but there's a fragility to her that suggests the designer clothes are a costume. Nathaniel told me about you, Isabella says. She stirs her coffee without looking at me. He said he met you in a hospital waiting room. He said he saved you from an abusive relationship. He did, I say. I know, Isabella says. Because he saved me too, 3 years ago, from a man who was beating me. From a life that was destroying me. I lean forward. What happened? I ask. He helped me escape, Isabella says. He sent a woman to help me pack. He set me up in a hotel. And then, the man I was running from died in a convenient accident. Like James, I say quietly. Yes, like James, Isabella says. But here's the thing, Sophie. I thought it was over. I thought I was safe. And I was safe in a way. Nathaniel treated me well. He was kind. He was generous. He made me feel like I mattered. She finally looks at me. But then I realized that the protection had become a prison, she says. He needed to know where I was at all times. He needed to approve of my friends. He needed to monitor my phone. He needed to control every aspect of my life. That sounds like he was protecting you, I say, even as my stomach twists with recognition. That's what he told me too, Isabella says. He said he was protecting me from people who might hurt me. He said that because I was attached to him, I was a target. He said the only way to keep me safe was to keep me close. She takes a sip of her coffee. The protection became control, she says. Slowly, gradually. So gradually that I didn't notice it happening until I was locked in a penthouse with security guards and tracking devices and a man who loved me so much he couldn't let me out of his sight. You can leave, I say. Can I? Isabella asks. Where would I go? I don't have money that he doesn't control. I don't have friends that he hasn't isolated me from. I don't have a family that would take me back. I'm 35 years old, and I'm completely dependent on a man who claims to love me. You could call the police, I say, and tell them what? Isabella asks. That the man I'm living with is controlling me. That he's keeping me isolated. That he's tracking my movements. Those things aren't illegal if you're in a relationship with someone. They're just controlling. She leans across the table. Sophie, Nathaniel is going to tell you that he loves you, she says. And he might even believe it. But what he really loves is the idea of you. He loves the idea of saving you. He loves the idea of having someone who's completely dependent on him. He loves the idea of power over another human being. How do you know he did it? I ask suddenly. How do you know he killed James? Because he told me, Isabella says. The last time he made a move like this, he was bragging about it. He said that he'd eliminated a problem and saved a woman at the same time. He said it was elegant. The way he solved both issues with one action. My heart is racing. He didn't kill James to save you, Isabella says quietly. He killed James because James was in his way. The fact that it also freed you was just a bonus. After meeting Isabella, I don't call Nathaniel for 3 days. I stay in my hotel room. I don't answer his calls. I don't respond to his texts. I lie in bed and I think about what Isabella said. I think about the possibility that Nathaniel didn't kill James to protect me, but to eliminate a rival. I think about the possibility that I'm just a convenient side effect of his business interests. I think about the possibility that Isabella is right and I'm walking into a trap. But then my phone rings, and it's Nathaniel, and his voice is so gentle and so concerned that I can't help but answer. Sophie, are you okay? He asks. I've been worried about you. I haven't heard from you in days. I'm fine, I say. I just needed some space. Space for me, he asks. Maybe, I say. Have I done something wrong? He asks. His voice is wounded. He sounds genuinely hurt. No, I say. I'm just processing. Processing what? He asks. The fact that you might have killed my ex-boyfriend, I say. There's a long pause. Did someone tell you something? He asks. His voice is different now. Colder. Someone suggested that James might have been killed because he was a business rival, I say. Not because you were protecting me. Does it matter? Nathaniel asks. Does it matter why I did it if the result is that you're safe? Yes, I say. It matters. It matters if you killed someone to protect me. It doesn't matter if you killed someone and I was just a convenient excuse. Sophie, I love you, he says. Whether I killed James for you or because of business doesn't change that. I love you, and I want you to be safe, and I want you to be with me. How do I know that? I ask. How do I know that you actually love me, and not just the idea of controlling me? You don't, he says. You have to trust me. You have to believe that I'm telling you the truth. And here's the thing. I want to believe him. I want to believe that someone loves me enough to kill for me. I want to believe that I matter that much to someone. Because for years, James made me feel worthless. For years, I was invisible. The idea that I matter to someone powerful, that I matter enough to risk murder, is seductive. Can I see you? He asks. Yes, I say. Come to my penthouse, he says. Today, I want to show you something. Nathaniel's penthouse is on the 42nd floor of a building in Brickell. It's all floor-to-ceiling windows and minimalist furniture and expensive art. The views are panoramic. The apartment is cold in the way that only money can make something cold, beautiful but sterile. Nathaniel is waiting for me when I arrive. He's dressed casually, in a way that suggests he's been waiting. He pulls me into an embrace, and I let him. I'm sorry, he says into my hair. I'm sorry if I've made you feel like I'm controlling you. I'm sorry if I've made you feel unsafe. You haven't, I say, which is not true. He has. He pulls back and looks at me. Come here, he says. He takes my hand and leads me through the penthouse to a room I haven't seen before. It's an office. Walls covered with screens, computers everywhere, and filing cabinets that probably contain evidence of crimes I can't even imagine. This is my life, he tells me. Everything you see here is built on violence. I need you to understand that. I look around the room and I feel very small. I understand, I say. Do you? He asks. Do you understand that being with me means accepting this? Do you understand that every time I help someone, it's because I'm protecting an investment or eliminating a rival or building an empire? Yes, I say, because I think I do understand this now. And you're still here, he says. You're still willing to be with me knowing this. Yes, I say, and it's true, despite everything, despite Isabella's warning, despite the detective's suspicion, despite the possibility that I'm trading one cage for another, I'm still here. Because the alternative is being alone. And I've learned from James that being controlled is sometimes preferable to being alone. Nathaniel takes my face in his hands. I'm going to take care of you, he says. I'm going to keep you safe. I'm going to make sure that nothing and no one ever hurts you again. What if you hurt me? I ask. I won't, he says. I couldn't. I love you too much. And I want to believe him. I choose to believe him, because belief is easier than doubt. 2 weeks later, I move into Nathaniel's penthouse. Dr. Wang thinks I'm insane. She says I'm experiencing a trauma response. She says I'm replacing one controlling relationship with another. He's a criminal, she says during one of our sessions. He probably killed your ex-boyfriend. You can't build a life on that foundation. He saved my life, I counter. He rescued me from an abusive relationship. Yes, he did it for complicated reasons, but he saved me. He saved you so he could control you, Dr. Wang says. Maybe, I admit, but I'm willing to let him. And I am. I'm moving into the penthouse. I'm giving up my job. Nathaniel says I don't need to work. I'm giving up my independence. Nathaniel says I don't need to be independent, that he'll provide for me. I'm giving up my freedom. Nathaniel says I'm safest here. And I'm calling it love. Isabella texts me the day I move in. Don't do this, the message says. Please don't do this. I block her number. Living with Nathaniel is comfortable and suffocating at the same time. My schedule is structured. My movements are monitored. I have security guards who follow me if I leave the penthouse. I have a phone that Nathaniel can access at any time. I have no bank account in my own name. I have no independence. But I have safety. I have comfort. I have someone who loves me, or at least tells me he loves me in ways that feel real. I can't lose you, he tells me one night. Not after I found you. I'm not going anywhere, I tell him, but you're being controlling. I'm being protective, he corrects. There's a difference. Is there? I ask. Yes, he says. Control is when I tell you what to do. Protection is when I make sure you're safe. You can do whatever you want. But you're going to be safe while you do it. The distinction feels meaningless. But I choose to believe in the distinction. Because if I acknowledge that this is control, if I acknowledge that I'm trapped, then I have to admit that I walked into this trap voluntarily. And I can't admit that. Not yet. 6 months after I move into the penthouse, I notice increased activity. There are more phone calls. Nathaniel spends more time in his office. There are more men coming and going from the penthouse. There's a tension in the air that wasn't there before. Is something wrong? I ask him. No, he says. Everything is fine. But he's lying. I can tell when he's lying because his jaw tightens slightly. His eyes go distant. Nathaniel, tell me the truth, I say. He's quiet for a long moment. The FBI is closing in, he says finally. They think they have enough to arrest me. They might be right. My heart sinks. What will happen? I ask. I'll go to prison, he says. For a long time, probably. And what happens to me? I ask. That's up to you, he says. You can leave. You can go back to your life. You can pretend this never happened. What if I don't want to leave? I ask. Then you wait, he says. You wait for me to get out. And I know, in that moment, that I'm going to wait. I know that I'm going to visit him in prison. I know that I'm going to become one of those women who waits for a man who's incarcerated. I know that I've made a choice that I can't take back. I'll wait, I tell him. He pulls me close, and he holds me like he's memorizing me, like he's afraid I'm going to disappear if he stops holding me. And I realize in that moment that this is exactly what he was doing. This was always the plan. He was preparing me for this from the beginning. He was making me dependent on him so that when he went to prison, I would have no choice but to wait. Isabella was right. The protection was always a cage. The love was always control. But I can't leave. I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have money. I don't have friends. I don't have a life outside of Nathaniel, so I stay. And I hold him. And I promise to wait. And I know, as I'm making this promise, that I'm sentencing myself to a life of imprisonment that's only slightly less severe than the one he's about to face. The FBI comes at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. There are 17 federal agents. They have a warrant. They have battering rams. They have guns. I'm asleep when they break down the door. Nathaniel is already awake. He was in the office when they arrived, which I later realize was deliberate. He wanted to be there when they came. He wanted to face them head-on. Federal agents, someone yells. Everyone on the ground. Nathaniel stands with his hands up. He's calm. He's almost serene, like he's been expecting this for years. Because he has, they read him his rights. They put him in handcuffs. They search the penthouse methodically, pulling files from the office, taking computers, photographing everything. One of the agents approaches me. Are you Sophie Mitchell? She asks. Yes, I say. Do you have anyone you can call? She asks, not unkindly, almost with pity. I don't finish the sentence because I realize that I don't have anyone. My parents don't know me anymore. My friends have forgotten about me. I have no one. You can stay here for now, the agent says, but you might want to start thinking about what comes next. Nathaniel looks at me from across the penthouse as they're leading him away. Call my lawyer, he says. His number is in my office. Tell him everything. Then he's gone. The trial lasts 6 weeks. Nathaniel doesn't defend himself much. He admits to the charges. He accepts responsibility. He's sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. The judge is harsh. She lectures him about the consequences of his actions. She talks about the lives he's destroyed. She talks about the people he's hurt. Nathaniel listens without expression. On the day of sentencing, he looks at me from the courtroom. His expression is unreadable, but I can see something in his eyes. A promise. A warning. A reminder that even though he's going to prison, he's still the most powerful person in my life. The federal prison is 90 minutes away from Miami. I drive there on a Saturday, 3 weeks after Nathaniel's sentencing. The visiting room smells like cleaning chemicals and despair. The other visitors are mostly women like me, women who are trapped in relationships with men who are incarcerated. Nathaniel sits across from me with the plexiglass barrier between us. He picks up the phone, and I pick up mine. "Hi," I say. "How are you?" he asks. "I've been better," I say. "I've been worse, too." "Have you been okay?" he asks. His voice is gentle, but there's something underneath it, something cold. "I'm managing," I say. "I'm still in the penthouse. Your lawyer helped me figure out how to pay for it." "Good," he says. "I want you to be comfortable." We talk for 2 hours. He asks me about my day. He asks me what I'm doing. He asks me who I'm seeing. The last question is the most important one, and we both know it. "I'm not seeing anyone," I say. "I'm just existing." "Good," he says again. "I don't want you to be seeing anyone. I don't want you to be around other men. Do you understand?" "Yes," I say. But even as I say it, I'm aware of how absurd this is. How can he possibly monitor me from prison? How can he possibly control who I see? And yet, somehow, I believe he can. Over the next month, Nathaniel sends me letters. They start out sweet. He talks about missing me. He talks about looking forward to visiting ours. He talks about how much he loves me. But underneath the sweetness, there's control. "I don't want you going to work," one letter says. "I don't want you being around other people. I want you to stay in the penthouse and wait for me. I've been hearing from people that you were seen at a coffee shop," another letter says. "I need to know where you go and who you see, for your safety. One of my associates told me about a man who's been asking about you at the coffee shop." Yet another letter says, "I need you to stop going there. I need you to understand that being associated with me makes you a target." The letters are full of contradictions. He doesn't want me to work, but he doesn't want me to be bored. He doesn't want me to be around people, but he doesn't want me to be lonely. He doesn't want me to have independence, but he doesn't want me to be dependent. It's impossible to satisfy him, and I think that's the point. 3 months into Nathaniel's imprisonment, I start going insane in the penthouse. I have nowhere to go, no one to see, no purpose. I'm just a woman sitting in a luxury apartment, waiting for visiting hours so I can sit across from my incarcerated boyfriend through plexiglass. One day, I call the nonprofit that I used to do research for, the one Isabella mentioned, the one that helps domestic violence survivors. I ask if they're hiring. They are. They offer me a part-time position doing administrative work. It's not much. It's minimum wage. It's beneath me in some ways, but it gives me a reason to leave the penthouse. I tell Nathaniel about the job during my next prison visit. His jaw tightens. "What kind of job?" he asks. "Administrative work," I say, "at a nonprofit that helps domestic violence survivors." "That's ironic," he says. His voice is flat. "You're working to help other women escape from abusive men, and you're in an abusive relationship yourself." "You're not abusing me," I say, "aren't I?" He asks. "Sophie, I've told you not to work. I've told you to stay in the penthouse, and you did it anyway. You disobeyed me." "I'm not your prisoner," I say quietly. "No," he agrees. "You're not my prisoner, you're something worse, you're my responsibility." And when I can't control my responsibility, it hurts me. He leans closer to the plexiglass. "I'm asking you to quit," he says. "I'm asking you to stop working at that place. I'm asking you to come home and wait for me." "Nathaniel," I start to say. "No," he interrupts. "This isn't a discussion. This is me telling you what I need you to do. And I need you to do this because I love you and I need you to be safe." And just like that, I'm back where I started. Back under the control of someone who says he loves me while simultaneously controlling every aspect of my life. But I keep the job. Marcus works in the same nonprofit as me. He's a counselor who specializes in helping domestic violence survivors leave their relationships. He's in his early 30s. He's kind in a way that feels genuine. He doesn't have the kind of power that Nathaniel has. He doesn't have the kind of money. He doesn't have the kind of danger. But he listens to me, really listens. When I mention something, he remembers it. He asks follow-up questions. He treats me like a person whose thoughts matter. You should talk to someone, he tells me one day. We're sitting in the office after work, and I've mentioned that I have a boyfriend in prison. A therapist, someone who specializes in trauma. I already have a therapist, I say. Do you? He asks. Or do you have a therapist who's writing things down and maintaining professional distance? What's the difference? I ask. The difference is someone who actually cares, Marcus says. Someone who will fight for your well-being. Someone who will tell you the hard truths. I don't want to hear hard truths, I say. I know, Marcus says, but I think you need to. He doesn't push further. He just leaves it there. An opening, an invitation to be honest. Over the next few weeks, Marcus and I fall into a pattern. We have coffee after work. We talk. He listens to me describe Nathaniel with a mixture of patience and concern that I'm not used to. He's controlling you, Marcus tells me one day. I'm sorry to be blunt, but it's true. He's controlling you through guilt and love and fear. It's a pattern. You don't understand, I say. He saved me. He rescued me from an abusive relationship. And now he's put you in another one, Marcus says gently. I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm trying to help you see the pattern so you can break it. I can't break it, I say. I don't have anywhere to go. Yes, you do, Marcus says. You could leave, you could start over, you could. But I stop listening because I realize what's happening. I realize that Marcus is becoming important to me in a way that Nathaniel won't like. I realize that I'm emotionally connecting with someone who isn't Nathaniel. I realize that I'm repeating the pattern of moving from one man to another without ever being alone. Nathaniel finds out about Marcus through his prison network. I don't know how he finds out. I don't know who told him. But in his next letter, his handwriting is different. Sharper. Angrier. I've been hearing things, the letter says. I've been hearing that you've been spending time with a man. A man who's not me. A man who works at your nonprofit. My heart sinks. I want you to stop, the letter continues. I want you to stop seeing this man. I want you to stop talking to him. I want you to cut off all contact. Do you understand? There's more, but it's mostly the same message repeated in different ways. The tone escalates from pleading to demanding to threatening. The final paragraph is the worst. Sophie, I love you, you know that. But if you betray me, there will be consequences. I have friends on the outside, people who would do anything for me. I wouldn't ask them to hurt you, but I would ask them to make sure that this man regrets ever meeting you. I'm telling you this not to threaten you, but to help you understand the stakes. I sit with this letter for a long time. During my next prison visit, Nathaniel is different. He's cold. He's distant. He barely looks at me. I got your letter, I say. Good, he says. I want to explain, I say. Marcus is just a friend. There's nothing romantic happening. I don't care, Nathaniel says. I don't want you near him. I don't want you talking to him. I don't want him to exist in your world. You can't control who I see, I say. Can't I? He asks. He leans back in his chair. Sophie, I have people everywhere. I have people who would hurt him without a second thought. I have people who would make his life a living hell. All I have to do is make one phone call. You wouldn't, I say. Wouldn't I? He asks. Or are you just hoping I wouldn't? Are you really willing to test that theory? Are you really willing to potentially get this man hurt because you want to have coffee with him? And that's when I realize the trap is complete. That's when I realize that Nathaniel has positioned himself so perfectly that I can't escape without potentially hurting someone else. If I leave him, he'll hurt Marcus. If I stay, I'm imprisoned. If I try to involve law enforcement, he'll hurt Marcus. There's no winning move. What do you want me to do? I ask. I want you to quit that job, he says. I want you to stop seeing Marcus. I want you to come home and wait for me. And if I don't, I ask, then Marcus will pay the price, he says, and it will be your fault. I quit my job the next day. I call Marcus and tell him that I need to stop being friends with him. I tell him that it's too complicated. I tell him that I can't see him anymore. Why? He asks. He sounds genuinely hurt. Because I care about you, I say, and I need to protect you from the situation I'm in. Sophie, whatever you're running from, we can help you, Marcus says. There are resources. There are. There's nothing anyone can do, I say. I need to stop seeing you. I need to focus on waiting for my boyfriend. I need to do what's best for everyone. I hang up before he can say anything else. That evening, I sit in the penthouse and I realize what I've done. I've isolated myself further. I've cut off one of the only genuine connections I had. I've made myself more dependent on Nathaniel. I've made myself more trapped, and I've done it willingly. After Marcus is gone from my life, Nathaniel's letters become gentler. He tells me he loves me. He tells me he's proud of me for choosing him. He tells me that once he gets out, we're going to have a beautiful life together. But I don't believe him anymore. Or rather, I believe that he believes what he's saying. But I understand that his love is conditional. His love is possession. His love is control. And I understand that I've accepted this. I understand that I've chosen this. I understand that I'm going to spend the next 20 years visiting him in prison, and then probably the rest of my life living with him after he gets out. I'm going to be exactly like Isabella. I'm going to be a woman in designer clothes with dead eyes, controlled by a man who claims to love me. And I'm going to accept it because the alternative is being alone. The alternative is admitting that I walked into this trap voluntarily. The alternative is admitting that I had chances to escape and I didn't take them. I establish a routine. Every Saturday, I drive 90 minutes to the prison. I sit across from Nathaniel through plexiglass. I talk to him about nothing. I listen to him tell me about his day. I accept his control over my life through the phone. The other women in the visiting room recognize me. We nod at each other but don't speak. We're all trapped in our own ways. We're all here because we chose to be. We're all counting the years until the men we love get out. One woman who comes to see her husband tells me she's been doing this for 15 years. 15 years? I ask. 15 years, she confirms. He's got 5 more to go. After that, we have the rest of our lives. Do you regret it? I ask. She looks at me for a long moment. Every single day, she says, but I made my choice and I'm going to stick with it. That's when I realize that this is my life now, that I'm going to be this woman, that I'm going to spend decades in this visiting room, that I'm going to grow old waiting for a man to get out of prison. And somehow, that's easier to accept than trying to escape. 6 months into Nathaniel's imprisonment, I'm at my lowest point. I sit in the penthouse, surrounded by expensive things I didn't earn and don't want. I have no job. I have no friends. I have no family that speaks to me. I have no future that's separate from Nathaniel. I think about James. I think about how he controlled me. I think about how I escaped him. I think about how I ran directly into the arms of someone more sophisticated but equally controlling. I think about Isabella's warning. I think about Detective Chen's suspicion. I think about Marcus's offers of help. I think about all the chances I had to make different choices. And I realize that I've become what I was trying to escape from. I've become a woman trapped in a cycle of abuse. I've become a woman who's lost her identity. I've become a woman who's completely dependent on a man who doesn't love her. He loves the idea of controlling her. But I don't reach out for help. I don't call Marcus. I don't talk to Detective Chen. I don't try to escape. Instead, I accept it. I accept that this is my life. I accept that I'm going to spend the next 20 years waiting. I accept that I'm going to grow old in this penthouse with a man who's in prison. I accept that I made a choice that I can't unmake. And in a strange way, accepting it makes it easier. The resignation brings a kind of peace. It's not happiness. It's not even contentment. But it's peace. And maybe that's all I can hope for now. Nathaniel is released after 18 years in federal prison. I'm there waiting for him in the parking lot of the facility. I've arranged to take off work. Yes, I work now. He allows it since he can monitor me. I've dressed carefully in clothes he would approve of. I've done my hair and makeup the way he likes it. When he walks out through the gates, he looks like an older version of himself. His hair is completely gray. His face is lined. He's aged significantly during his imprisonment. But his eyes are the same, intense, focused, always calculating. He sees me and his expression softens. He looks genuinely happy to see me. "Hello," I say. "Hello," he replies. "Thank you for waiting." We embrace, and I feel something like relief. 18 years. That's a long time to wait for someone. That's a long time to organize your entire life around prison visiting hours and phone calls and letters. I didn't wait, I tell him, echoing words I said years ago when he asked why I stayed. I just didn't leave. That's different. I know, he says, and I'm grateful anyway. We drive back to Miami together. Nathaniel stares out the window like he's seeing the city for the first time. He probably is. 18 years is a long time. The world has changed. Technology has changed. But I haven't changed. I'm older. There's gray in my hair now. There are lines on my face that weren't there before. But my cage remains exactly the same. Nathaniel's probation conditions are strict. He can't be involved in any criminal enterprise. He can't associate with known criminals. He has to report to a parole officer every week. He's supposed to reintegrate into society and become a better person. And remarkably, he does, or appears to. He gets a job as a security consultant. It's legitimate work. He goes to therapy twice a week, couples therapy with me, individual therapy on his own. He volunteers with an organization that helps at-risk youth avoid criminal activities. He speaks at schools about the consequences of organized crime. Everyone who meets him is impressed by how much he's changed, how genuine his remorse seems, how committed he is to becoming a better person. And maybe he is genuinely changed. Maybe 18 years in prison actually transformed him, but I see something underneath the transformation. I see that the need to control is still there. It's just expressed differently now. When he goes to therapy, he comes home and analyzes every conversation we've had that week, looking for signs of disloyalty. When he volunteers, he makes sure I know exactly what he's doing and who he's doing it with. When he speaks at schools, he's not just sharing his story. He's asserting his power, his intelligence, his ability to command a room full of people. The prison didn't reform him. It just taught him more sophisticated ways to control. Within a year of his release, Nathaniel becomes something of a local celebrity. He's the reformed criminal, the redemption story, the man who's turned his life around. News outlets interview him. Schools invite him to speak. Nonprofits want him on their boards. And with every speaking engagement, with every interview, I watch him consolidate his power. I watch him become more important. I watch him become more central to other people's lives. And the more important he becomes, the more he needs me to be unimportant. The more visible he is, the more invisible I need to be. The more people love the reformed version of him, the more I need to be the secret he comes home to. People don't understand what it takes to change, he tells me one night. We're sitting on the balcony of our apartment, smaller than the penthouse, but still nice. They think change is quick. They think you just decide to be better and then you are. But it's not like that. Change is a process. It's daily. It's a choice you make every single morning. I know, I say, and you help me make that choice, he continues. You're what keeps me grounded. You're what keeps me from going back to my old life. You're why I'm able to stand in front of those kids and tell them that change is possible. He takes my hand. I wouldn't be able to do any of this without you, he says, and it sounds like gratitude. It sounds like love. But it's also responsibility. It's also obligation. It's also a way of making sure I understand that I'm essential to his transformation, which means I can never leave. If I leave, he might go back to his old life. If I leave, those kids he's speaking to might be without a mentor. If I leave, his redemption might unravel. So I can't leave, for his sake, for other people's sakes, for everyone's sake but my own. 10 years after his release, we're sitting at a restaurant in Miami. It's a nice restaurant, not as nice as Tempest, but nice. We've built a good life on the surface. Nathaniel has a legitimate career. I work in publishing. He approved of that field. We have a nice apartment. We travel occasionally. We go to therapy. We go to events where Nathaniel is recognized as a success story. Do you remember Tempest? Nathaniel asks me. We're eating fish that's perfectly prepared. We're drinking wine that costs more than most people make in a week. Of course, I say. Our first dinner. I was so afraid that night, he says. I was afraid that, if I was honest about who I was, you'd leave. I wanted to leave, I admit. I know, he says, but you didn't. I couldn't, I say. The words come out before I can stop them. He looks at me with an expression I can't quite read. Yes, you could have, he says. You always could have, but you chose not to. That's the difference. And it's true, I could have left. At any point in the last 10 years, or the 18 years before that, I could have left. I could have walked away. I could have started over. But I didn't. And now, at 46 years old, I'm not sure I know how to be anyone other than Nathaniel's girlfriend-wife. We got married 5 years ago, quietly, with almost no one present. On our 10th wedding anniversary, Nathaniel suggests we go back to Jackson Memorial Hospital. To remember where it all started, he says. So we go back. We walk through the hospital. We go to the waiting room where he first sat down next to me, where he first told me to leave, where he first offered me help. If I could go back, Nathaniel says, I would make the same choice, saving you from James, all of it. I know, I reply. Are you glad? He asks. Are you glad that I did what I did? I look around the waiting room. I see other people sitting here. A woman with a black eye, a young man with bandages on his arms, an older woman who looks exhausted. I see myself 10 years ago, terrified, desperate, grateful for rescue that turned into captivity. Yes, I say, because what else can I say? I'm glad. He takes my hand. Come on, he says. Let's go get dinner. I made a reservation. We're about to leave when I see her. She's young, maybe 26. She's sitting in the waiting room, holding her side like it hurts to breathe. She has a bruise on her cheek that's starting to turn yellow. She looks at me, and I see recognition in her eyes, the recognition of someone who's been hurt by someone who says they love her. I see myself from the waiting room years ago. I see the moment before everything changed. I see the moment before I made all the choices that led me here, and I want to help her. I want to sit down next to her and say, get out now, don't wait. Don't listen to anyone who tells you that rescue is love. Don't accept a cage, no matter how beautiful it is. But Nathaniel's hand is on the small of my back. Not pushing, not aggressive, just present. Just reminding me that we're a unit, just reminding me of where I belong. Sophie, he says gently, are you coming? The young woman is watching us, watching me, waiting to see what I'll do. I look at her. I want to say something. I want to do something. I want to somehow communicate that her life is about to change in ways she can't imagine. But I just turn and walk away. Nathaniel's hand guides me toward the door. His hand is still a leash, but I've learned to call it love. On the car ride to the restaurant, I'm quiet. Nathaniel reaches over and takes my hand. Are you okay? He asks. Yes, I say, just thinking about that girl in the waiting room. She'll figure it out, Nathaniel says. Or she won't. Not everyone is strong enough to survive what you've survived. He's right, and that's the saddest part of it all. He's right that I'm strong. I am strong. But my strength has been used to keep me in a cage. My strength has been weaponized against me. My strength is the thing that's kept me here. That girl in the waiting room, if she's strong enough, she might escape. If she's strong enough, she might build a life that's actually hers. If she's strong enough, she might not accept rescue that comes with a price. But if she's not strong enough, if she's like me, she'll end up exactly where I am. She'll end up 36 years old in a marriage to a man who loves her the way a collector loves a painting. She'll end up with designer clothes and a dead smile. She'll end up having built a life around someone else's redemption arc. She'll end up accepting that this is as good as it's going to get. We get to the restaurant, and Nathaniel orders champagne. To 10 years, he says, and to many more. To many more, I repeat, and I mean it. I am going to spend many more years with him. I'm going to grow old with him. I'm going to die with him, probably in a penthouse or an apartment or a house that he chooses. I'm going to spend my entire life in the cage he's built for me, and I've accepted it. More than that, I've convinced myself it's love. As we're eating dinner, Nathaniel tells me about a new speaking engagement. He's been invited to speak at a university about criminal reform and rehabilitation. He's been invited to talk about what it means to actually change. He's been invited to inspire students to think about second chances. It's a big opportunity, he says. It could lead to more speaking engagements, maybe a book deal. That's wonderful, I say, and I mean it. Because the more successful he becomes, the more he needs me. The more he achieves, the more he needs someone to come home to. The more he transforms into a respected figure, the more he needs me to be invisible. And I've learned to love that role. I've learned to find meaning in being the secret he keeps. I've learned to feel special because he can't function without me. Or maybe I've just learned to accept my imprisonment and call it something else. I wouldn't be able to do any of this without you, he tells me. He says this often, multiple times a week. You're the reason I'm able to be the person I am. And it's true. Without me, without someone to control, without someone to come home to and dominate psychologically, he would probably be less of a person. Without me, he would lose the anchor that keeps him from being entirely consumed by his need for power. So I'm necessary, I'm essential, I'm the foundation of his redemption, and that's how I know I can never leave. Sometimes I see myself in other women. I see women who are too eager to please. Women whose eyes dart to check the reaction of the man they're with before they speak. Women who have organized their entire existence around someone else's needs. And I want to scream at them. I want to tell them that the cage gets smaller, not larger. I want to tell them that rescue from abuse doesn't always come with redemption. I want to tell them that beautiful prisons are still prisons. But I don't. Because who am I to judge? I'm the woman who chose to stay. I'm the woman who had chances to leave and didn't take them. I'm the woman who's convinced herself that psychological captivity is love. Doctor. Wang, my therapist, who Nathaniel also sees with me, has stopped trying to help me see the patterns. She's made peace with my choices, or maybe she's just given up on me. Either way, our sessions have become superficial. We talk about the weather. We talk about Nathaniel's successes. We talk about anything except the fact that I'm a prisoner in a relationship with a man who loves control more than he loves me. One day, I accept the truth. I accept that Nathaniel didn't really change in prison. He just learned better ways to control. I accept that his therapy is about learning to control me more effectively. I accept that his speaking engagements are about power. I accept that his redemption arc is about positioning himself as someone who can be trusted with vulnerable people. And I accept that I'm not going anywhere. This realization should be devastating. This realization should send me into a spiral of despair. This realization should make me want to escape. But it doesn't. Because I've spent so long in this cage that I can't imagine existing outside of it. Because I've built my entire identity around being someone's prisoner. Because I've convinced myself that this is what love looks like. And maybe that's the real tragedy. Not that I'm imprisoned, but that I've accepted the imprisonment so completely that I can't even see it as imprisonment anymore. 10 years later, I'm at Jackson Memorial Hospital again. I'm 56 years old now. My hair is mostly gray, though I dye it. My face is lined, though I try to keep it smooth. I'm wearing clothes that Nathaniel chose for me. I'm wearing jewelry that he gave me. I'm entirely his creation. We're here for a charity event that Nathaniel is speaking at. He's going to talk about criminal rehabilitation. He's going to inspire people. He's going to remind everyone that change is possible. And I'm going to stand beside him and smile and pretend that I'm happy. As we're walking through the hospital, I see her again. Not the same young woman from 10 years ago. There's a new young woman in the waiting room now. But it's the same story. Same bruises. Same desperate eyes. Same moment before everything changes. She sees me. She sees a woman in designer clothes, standing next to a powerful man. She sees someone who looks like she's been rescued. She sees someone who looks like she's made it. She doesn't see a prisoner. Nathaniel notices me staring. "Come on," he says. His hand is on the small of my back. Not pushing, not aggressive, just present, just guiding, just reminding me of where I belong. "Sophie," he says, "are you coming?" I want to look at the young woman again. I want to tell her something. I want to warn her, but I just turn and walk away. His hand guides me toward the auditorium where he's about to speak. His hand is still a leash, but I've learned to call it love. His hand is still controlling, but I've learned to call it protection. And I've made peace with it. As we're walking, I look back once. The young woman is still watching me. She's looking at me like I have answers, like I might be able to help her. I see sadness in her eyes. I see the moment she realizes that I can't help her. I see the moment she understands that I'm exactly where she's going to end up. And I walk away. Because that's what women in beautiful cages do. They walk away from other women who might escape. They walk away from chances to break the cycle. They walk away from the possibility of freedom, and they call it love. I've been Nathaniel's wife for 5 years now. I've been his girlfriend for 23 years. I've been his prisoner for nearly as long as I've been alive as an adult. And I don't remember what it felt like to be free. I don't remember what it felt like to make my own choices. I don't remember what it felt like to have friendships that weren't monitored. I don't remember what it felt like to have dreams that were separate from his. I'm a woman who escaped an abusive relationship by entering another one. I'm a woman who was rescued by someone who needed to control her. I'm a woman who's made peace with her cage. And the saddest part is that I'm not even angry anymore. The saddest part is that I've accepted it. The saddest part is that I've convinced myself it's love. Nathaniel is a good man now. He's transformed. He's genuine in his desire to help others. He's real in his commitment to being better. But he's still a man who needs to control. He's still a man who needs to possess. He's still a man who can't love without dominating. And I'm still a woman who's learned to call that love. James died so I could be free. Instead, I walked into a more sophisticated captivity with a man who claims to have changed. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life here, in this beautiful cage, with this man who loves me the way a collector loves a painting. The bars just became invisible, that's all.